time in the morning, we check in on the top business story of the day. Alternative mortgage lender Home Capital Group is facing a hearing later today at the Ontario Securities Commission. Jameson Berkow is here to discuss. I feel like this is all you and I have talked about all week long. They're in the news a lot. And
it's probably only going to get even more in the news, Anne-Marie, at this point, because right now it's still just a localized issue. It's still just Home Capital, but we have yet to really see the tentacles of this start to spread throughout not just the rest of the mortgage sector, the banking sector, but possibly even the broader economy. Today's hearing, though, is just kind of the regulatory equivalent of an arraignment hearing. They're going to maybe summarize the charges against the OSC.
And remind us the charges are?
And essentially that they lied to the public for about 5 months in the middle part of 2015 over a major fraud investigation where there were dozens of brokers that were falsifying employment income, basically giving mortgages to people who couldn't afford them, which is what's raising a lot of hairs on the backs of a lot of necks about the possibility of this being similar to the subprime crisis that, of course, the U.S. is still digging itself out of a decade later. So the reason this is something that you and I have been discussing a lot, will keep discussing a lot, I think, for some time, is not just because this process is going to take maybe even years to work out. The OSC is not exactly known for expedient trials in their quasi-judicial system, but also because, I mean, just consider the raw facts of the situation. The online affordability calculators that anyone who, is responsible in looking at a home purchase will go and use, the average of them says that if you want to buy, say, an averaged home in Toronto, an average price home, you need a household income of around $200,000, which the vast majority of potential home buyers do not have. So while some major banks will give mortgages to people a little bit below that threshold, most of the folks, which is most of all folks who are looking at buying homes, will have to go to other places to get mortgages. And Home Capital was the place, still is considered, because it is still operating, the place to get a mortgage for those people.
Do we have an idea, Jameson, of how many people are in that camp? Maybe not necessarily just with Home Capital, but with these other alternative lenders?
Not really. That's part of the problem, is that it's gone so under the radar, when people make these comparisons to the U.S. and Canada, be like, oh, Canada doesn't have a subprime mortgage market. Well, we do, actually.
And because home prices are so expensive.
Precisely. And the more expensive home prices get, the more critical role the subprime market plays. It's been growing, in many people's opinion, exponentially. Part of the problem, though, to your point, though, Anne-Marie, is that that's just people's opinion. We don't have a specific, accurate marker of how much the market is in this very high-risk, very volatile subprime area, especially in these very expensive cities like the one we're in now, versus how many are the insured, backstopped by the taxpayer, run by the major banks. And without that kind of detail, the risks of this kind of becoming a domino effect that significantly damages the Canadian economy and maybe costs a lot of people their jobs and their livelihoods and their homes, we won't know for some time.
Glad you're following this story for us, Jameson. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
All right, Your Morning. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.